friends, welcome back to Francesca's Books. I am Francesca and of course these are my books. Today is such an exciting video. I've managed to get my top 10 reads of 2023 all in one place. So get a coffee and settle in because if you watch only one of my YouTube videos this year, it has to be this one. 2023 was such an incredible reading year for me. I managed to read 102 books. Of course, most of those are thriller books, probably 80 plus. I think I probably read 10 to 15 romance or fantasy books, anything that wasn't a thriller. These are just the books that I would literally recommend to anyone I haven't been able to stop thinking about and just absolutely gripped me. So I've got 6 of them as physical books and the rest were Kindle reads. So I'm gonna go from number 10 all the way up to my favorite book of 2023. So let's go and hopefully you can get some good thriller book recommendations off the back of this. I can't stop looking outside because it's snowing in the UK. It's literally not snowed in the UK for years and I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. So coming in at number 10 is Drowning by TJ Newman. This book is insanely fast-paced. It opens with a plane crash over the middle of an ocean and absolute chaos trying to understand what's going on. The plane crashes and then around 7 or 8 people decide that they're going to stay in the plane, which is like vacuum sealed, so obviously like no water can get in, as it's sinking, and everybody else obviously evacuates and is like just in the ocean waiting to be rescued. That's literally how the book opens, like within the first 10 pages. It's mental. I actually read this on a plane, which I think is kind of like a bit psychopathic, but there we go. Of course, I gave this book 5 stars. I was so rooting for the characters. I was a little bit emotional at the end as well, and you don't normally get that from a thriller book, so I highly recommend it. Coming in at number 9 is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is definitely my favourite Alice Feeney book now. In this one, a woman wakes up in a coma after an accident. She can hear everything, but of course she can't see, and she also can't move or communicate. It's super intense, and of course it's told in dual point of view of where she is now and then what's happened, like the events leading up to it. This was just so gripping. It was one of those where you just genuinely, like, you didn't want to know, you needed to know what had happened to her. If you're quite new to reading thrillers, I do also recommend quite a few of Alice Feeney's books just because they are so easy to read. Coming in at number 8 is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. Freida McFadden is another author that's just incredibly easy to read. Like, you don't even realise how much of a book you've read until you look and you're like, oh yeah, nearly finished. I actually read this in January of 2023, so a year ago now, but it still plays on my mind. It's just such a classic thriller book just to really get you into the genre, especially as a beginner. So this follows an ex-con who's hired as a live-in nanny for like quite a wealthy family. Everything's going amazing, but then when she goes upstairs to see the room that she's been put up in, it only locks from the outside and she's like, sorry? Everything about this book is creepy. It's got a little bit of romance in it as well. It's just brilliant. At number 7, we have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This is such a Marmite book. Like, you literally love it or hate it. I've seen so many 1-star reviews and so many 5-star reviews for this book. Like, no one can make up their mind. For me, it was an absolute 5-star. I understand why some people wouldn't like this one as much because the twist is something really unique that if you don't like that kind of style, you definitely just would not enjoy. This follows a widowed actress who goes on like a vacation at her lake house and she befriends and then investigates the disappearance of another actress who is like also vacationing at the lake with her husband. This is quite a creepy read. It'd be perfect as part of like an autumn TBR. I read it at that time of year and it just fit amazingly. This is another one that's really easy to read as well. You're sensing a pattern here. All my favourite books are ones that you just can't get enough of and just grip you right from the start. It's quite short as well. I think it was only about 300 pages, this one. About 320 pages. Brilliant. Number 6 is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is definitely more of a unique thriller. It's like a sci-fi thriller. So I actually didn't know that going into this book. I just picked it up on like loads of recommendations from BookTok and I opened it and I was kind of like, what is happening? But thought I would decide to like stick it out just to see what everyone was talking about, and oh my god, I am so glad that I did. It centers around like parallel universes and multiple universes and focuses on our main character Jason, who has a wife and a son in his universe. So he's kind of kidnapped and you don't really know what exactly is happening to him, and then suddenly all these other timelines start appearing. That is like the super basic premise of this book. You can't even really summarize. I just definitely would recommend this to anyone. So now for my top 5. They were so hard to rank these final 5 because I enjoyed every single one. I gave every single one a 5-star and I would wholeheartedly recommend them. These books do kind of go from like 2nd to 3rd or 4th to 3rd. They do kind of jumble around a little bit in my head, but this is the ranking that I'm going to stick with. So coming in at number 5 is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. This was my favourite Freida McFadden book of this year. This book is actually set in a snowstorm, which is so ironic because that's literally what I'm looking at out my window right now. So a married couple go to view like the house of their dreams. They're really keen on it. The real estate agent is coming to meet them at the property and then the snowstorm just kind of traps them there. This one gets really creepy really fast and is just such an easy book to read. I mean, all sorts of weird things start happening as you can imagine. They like find fresh food in the fridge even though supposedly no one's lived there in months. Paintings kind of move and change and they're just not expecting it. There's some really, really good twists in this book as well. I would definitely recommend it, especially to someone who's new to reading thrillers. I read this on Kindle, but I actually bought the physical version when I found out they had it in the works because it was only £2.50 and I forgot to show you, but there we go. I do have the book. Coming in at number 4 was one of my final reads of 2023 and it's called The Last Passenger by Will Dean. I've read a couple of other Will Dean books and I wasn't a fan, so I'm not sure why I even went on to read a third, but oh my god, I'm so glad I did. So in this one, our female main character goes on like a cruise ship of her dreams. It's a crossing between Ireland and New York. She goes on it with her partner, there's like a full ship, everyone goes to dinner, and then she goes to bed, and when she wakes up the next day, she's the only person on board. That's literally like the first 5 pages, and then what unfolds after that, you wouldn't be able to believe. If you hadn't seen spoilers for this book, there is just no way you'd be able to even comprehend or give a good guess to anything that happens. This book literally blew me out of the water, no pun intended, was a straight 5-star and was easily my favourite book of the back end of last year. Coming in at number 3 is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. 2 Riley Sager books did make this list, but they are so deserving of a place here. This one follows Kit, who's a care worker. She goes to look after a suspected serial unaliver called Lenora Hope. When she gets there, Lenora is non-verbal, but she really wants to tell her side of the story to Kit. It's kind of done in stages through a typewriter. This one reminds me of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo if it was a thriller. So in Seven Husbands, you have this like incredible life story that someone really wants to get across for a specific purpose. So you take that concept and put it in a thriller book, and that is The Only One Left. And of course you can throw in the atmospherics, the creepy setting, and a whole host of suspicious characters. I feel like the writing in this one was slightly more complex than some of the other easier thriller books I recommended, but don't let that put you off. It wasn't super complex, it was just a little bit more well developed. It took me so long to decide between the top 2 books that I have on this list, but I think I'm happy with my decision. So coming in at number 2 is Hidden Pictures by Jason McCurlock. This book literally has it all. It has a troubled child who draws disturbing pictures. Let me show you. Okay, so you've got creepy child, check. Family who have no idea what's going on with their child, check. Nanny that's coming from the outside and sees this and goes, what is happening here, check. And a tiny romance subplot, check. This book has it all. So our nanny Mallory comes in to try and look after this troubled child Teddy, but she's just so concerned, and it's just kind of the journey of understanding what's happening there. I read this book so fast, I didn't expect to love it this much, but it's just absolutely amazing. Just can't recommend it enough. And finally, my favourite book of the year, drumroll please, What Lies Between Us by John Mars. If you subscribe to my channel here on YouTube or you follow me on any platform, whether it's BookTok or Bookstagram, you will know that this was one of my absolute favourites of this year, and I just had to crown it number 1. I'd read some of John Mars's other books before I'd read this one and they were good, but this one was just absolutely exceptional. It follows like a really twisted story of a middle-aged woman who has her elderly mum locked up in the attic. It's told from dual point of view of both their perspectives. You have no idea where this is going. It literally gives you another twist every like 50 pages, and honestly just John Mars is just the king of writing, especially with this book. If you're looking for something super tense, super gripping, and absolutely twisty as hell, this is definitely your go-to. Those are my top 10 reads of 2023. It's been an absolute roller coaster, but I have read some incredible books last year. As a thanks for all your support in 2023, I'm giving away a copy of The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. This is another incredible thriller book that I read this year. It follows on from the first Housemaid book a few years later. All you have to do is like this video and leave me a comment of which was your favourite book in 2023, and I'll pick a winner at random and send it out to you. If I'm being honest, this is mainly for selfish purposes. I really want to know what everyone's favourite reads are of 2023 so I can incorporate them in 2024 to review for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and happy reading!